So I've just put my cacao butter on about number 4, so it's not too high heat, but just enough to melt it. It's the thickest thing that we're going to use, so that goes on the heat first. I'm going to take it off the heat. You really don't want it to boil or bubble because it stops it from being raw then. I mean, professionals do a bain-marie rather than this, but I do this because it's quick and easy. So I'm going to take it off the heat just before it's completely, well, it's almost completely melted. So I'm going to go for my sweetener next. So I'm going for honey, but you can use lots of other sweeteners. I just approximate everything personally because I've done this enough times. I put the sweetener on very early because you want the sweetener, the thickness of the sweetener, it needs to be as hot as everything else. I find if I put it in too late, it can separate. So I put that in as the next thing, and then my coconut oil, which melts very quickly and easily. And then in any order now, coconut oil, bit of salt, bit of vanilla. The salt and vanilla you don't need, but I like to use it. Can't find my vanilla right now, so I'm gonna not use it. But I've got my pinch of salt, so I'm just gonna put a pinch of salt, and you can see the last remnants of my coconut oil, which I've just put in, and it melts really quickly because of the heat that's already there and it's thin. So that's my salt. I would put vanilla if I could find it easily. Now I'm gonna put my cacao powder, and you're finished. So I just estimate my amounts because I've done it a few times. So roughly, I mean, I used to make chocolates for a bit without any cacao butter, but it does make a slightly better texture with it, I think. I've done it with just coconut oil, but you have to keep it in the fridge because, I mean, with cacao butter, it has a low melting point anyway, but the coconut oil only ones have an even lower melting point. So anyway, so I use about roughly this, maybe slightly less cacao butter than coconut oil, but it doesn't really matter. And then I just ad lib with I like mine quite dark and strong, so I put quite a lot in. I know the right amount now by more or less the thickness, so I don't want it like runny like water personally, because I like them quite dark and rich. So that's being pretty, so you want just a tiny weeny bit of viscosity. It's not just like water, but it's a little bit, you know, the more viscous, the darker and richer the chocolate's going to be in the bitter, so you might want to balance it out with how much sweetener you've put in. Just have a play. I'll put just a tiny bit more, I think that's about right though. That's ready to go in my mould, so I can do flavours. I'm going to just put some ground up coffee in mine because that's what I fancy, but you can put rose essential oil or an alcohol of some kind, or if you want, depends on the flavour, or you want mint essential oil is quite nice, or orange rind is nice, bit of orange juice. Go careful with how much liquid you put in because it can separate, but put a tiny bit, a splash of orange juice with my orange rind. Cardamom is lovely. Enjoy.